everybody, I'm Dr. Braik, and welcome to our Veterans Health Forum, our weekly podcasting for the benefit of health and wellness of our veterans. With me in our transatlantic studio today again, it's our friend, colleague, and co-producer, Dr. Koščak, Marko Koščak. Hi, Marko, how are you?
Hello, I'm very well. I'm pleased to be back, and I look forward to exciting discussion and challenges about the wellness and let's say health tourism devoted for our veterans.
For everybody who started later in our with our program, I want to inform of the following fact. Our podcast will always have two parts. One medical part, which will be with Professor Resch from Germany, talking about different chronic disease, different aspects of balneology and what it does for our chronic disease. And the part number two between me and Marko will be in regards to marketing, to a transatlantic wellness tourism development, and that is exactly in which part we are today. So again, we started last week with the topic highlights of TEAM VRP. So in other words, what is TEAM VRP? TEAM VRP is the total group of cooperators or podcasters who will be taking our podcast, our production, our episodes, and promoting them in their own podcasts. And the reason why we chose that kind of a dissemination of information is because VRP, our goal for VRP is to have the fastest and most extensive propagation of the idea of the VRP in interest of course, the health of our veterans. So the best way to do it is to co-present it through all kind of veteran podcasts which are out there. So this would be, this is what we are working right now on to create the TEAM VRP.
Yeah, I think we are talking about very effective network of people who would share the same idea, same, let's say, standards of understanding about the wellness and let's say the offer which would be prepared and organized in the locations across the Europe. Basically, I think that we are talking about the wellness destinations, which are our partners and which will be in the process a choice from the point of let's say interested parties. So basically starting in Germany and then later on also maybe extended in some other destinations.
Right, and to come back on the constitution of the TEAM VRP. Okay, so who can be part of the TEAM VRP? Anybody. In other words, you don't have to be a veteran. You could be a veteran spouse. You could be a non-veteran. You could be anybody who is interested into the veteran health, who is interested into the regular health for everybody. As we want to say again and again, the Veterans Health Program or Rehabilitation Program, VRP, is not exclusively for veterans, it's for everybody. But we started with the veterans because of the tremendous health, chronic health problems what the veterans have in our country. Now, so who can be a part of the team? Anybody. What would be an ideal, and this is now the next point, what would be an ideal participant in VRP? It would be probably a veteran, from my perspective, a veteran who already has a podcast or who intends to open his own podcast program. And the reason why I'm saying that, because podcasting is maybe not for everybody. but it's a definite new way of disseminating information. Actually, everybody has a podcast today. And if we are talking about podcasting for veterans, all right, if you have a podcast for veterans and you are looking for new ideas, new thematics, new points of discussion, then I want you to address us. I want you to look for us, contact us, and initiate a discussion of how to participate in our VRP nationwide program.
Yeah.
That would be, for me, the ideal participant in the VRP. But again, come back to what I said before, anybody can be part of VRP.
Exactly. I think that these are the people who like to be in touch, who are able to communicate, who are also able to provide certain amount of information about the topic, and who are keen to get in touch with a rich network of colleagues, both from America and Europe, and exchange this opportunity to bring the attention and bring the information to the let's say final clients, which are in our case, as you said, veterans, but not excluding anybody. We are trying to really offer a wide choice of the options, one from the point of really being focused on certain I wouldn't say treatments, but procedures which could improve and benefit for your health, and also others who are part of the social and overall interest for the destination you will be visiting.
Yeah, and basically I would say here, because that's important for everyone to understand, if you do have a veteran-related or directed podcast, I am not saying, we are not promoting the idea of you should completely change the structure of your podcast. In other words, you don't have to feel obligated of going from a general podcasting or free time of leisure podcast or traveling podcast or whatever podcast character you are promoting. I'm only saying that you could incorporate a new idea in your podcast. In other words, you can, with the help of our recorded episodes, you can actually promote your own business, your own podcast. That's one of the big advantages, which I have right in here on my tablet. One of the talking points is the advantage. What are the crucial advantages of being part of Team VRP? Number one, I would say, well, you will still be acting within the veteran community, which you're doing probably right now, and you will be promoting your own podcast. Whatever nature your own podcast has, you will be introducing a new topic. And I believe, like a podcaster myself, now, I would say as a podcaster, you are always looking for new ideas, for new topics, for things where your audience will be most interested into. Now, in our particular case, I would say, I may not even have to say that, because our podcast is very focused. It's only focused on, so to speak, health and wellness of our veterans. So, but as I said before, if you have a general podcast, then yes, you can talk about whatever you like to talk, whatever you talked in the past. But now, if you want, incorporate the probably most pressing idea of what we have today post-pandemic, which is the general health.
Absolutely. Well, we know that this is one of the biggest trends in sustainable tourism or in travel, which offers, in a way, safe and secure environment for the kind of cure, which will, I'm sure, help to improve the immunity, the system, and the condition in many dimensions, both physical, mental, and also others. So these happenings are in the local communities, which I would say are very open and somehow would like to meet also guests and be socializing, so be open to discuss discuss everyday life challenges. And I think this is also from the mental point of view very important, because one of the challenge in this travel is really to meet real people, and this is something what could enrich the travel, you know.
Yeah, absolutely, Marco. And we will have in the future, guys, we will have many episodes. I would say many episodes. I emphasize the word many in regards to what it means today, post-pandemic, what it means to be a wellness traveler. So, in other words, how the tourism industry is now rapidly changing from mass tourism from the past into the very specific future tourism, which will be the wellness tourism. Okay, so in other words, it's a huge industrial transition from one part of the spectrum of the tourism into a complete other side of the spectrum. In other words, mass, hundreds, thousands of people going to into a direction, to very small groups, individually small groups of patients, individual traveling, going for a particular one goal. In other words, focusing on health. And I would like to come right now and say, to add to the idea what I had before, the advantage of being part of our team VRP. It's because you as a podcaster, I'm talking to our audience, you as a podcaster will be addressing the most important problem of our today's life in our society, the post-pandemic health struggle problem. And without trying to be in any way political, because we try to be away from the political movements if we can, but I do have to come back to what Bobby Kennedy, presently in the elections, who will be our future head of the health department, mentioned that 60 years ago, okay, we had 1% of our population, 1% of our population plagued, if you want to call it, to use that expression, by chronic disease. Now we are having 1 out of 2. We are talking about 50%. And I have seen statistics which Professor Resch just sent me last week. The projection of the total chronic incidency, chronic disease incidences to the year 2050, way out there, but so where literally 4 out of 5 in the industrial world will suffer of chronic disease. And that is an absolutely, as Kennedy would say, unacceptable point of view. I mean, if we continue with this, then yeah, we will be ruining our entire genetic structure and our health forever, because our kids today, okay, our kids today, majority of them, 70%, 70% of our kids will grow to be inept or incapable of doing military service, as per study of the Pentagon released 2 years ago. So let's go back away from the statistic. What I was trying to say with that is, why is health so important? Because this will be now and in the future the most important topic of any discussions in this country.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And not just in America, but also in Europe and other continents.
Right.
Well, I would like once again to stress what you said before. The product is specially and tailor-made for, let's say, individual guests, small groups. So we are really far away from mass. And that's why I wanted to stress this also importance of meeting local community. We are seeing, namely, especially here in Europe, I don't know about America, some hostile movements against tourism in some countries. So basically people are sick and tired of these masses and hordes which are coming to the destination, especially in summer months or some peaks, but in our case, we are talking about these destinations which are offering this spa experience, wellness treatments, which are really, I would say, individually devoted, individually targeting the market. And that's why I believe this is also very important to understand from the point of view of the customer.
Yeah, and actually now complementing each other in this discussion, because number one, I am coming from the point of view of future pandemics and health of the veterans in America, right? I'm here in Florida, right? And Marko is talking from the perspective of the guest, and perspective from of the host. In other words, the traveling destinations of the American veterans to European balneological centers. So as you are clearly seeing that, I mean, people the final destinations, okay, and we can call any kind of part of Europe as a tourism destination, are no longer playing the same game as in the past in regards to tourism. So you are talking from their perspective. I'm talking from the American health perspective. So if we put those two things together, it's an absolute win-win situation.
Absolutely.
So in other words, I want our interested people participating in our Team VRP to understand that if they come with us into the Team VRP, the advantages, the future advantages for them will be enormous, because number one, they are promoting the most pressing idea which is there. So I'm listening as a podcaster, I'm listening every day to different podcasts, to frivolous podcasts, to important podcasts, to political podcasts, to historical podcasts, to any kind of podcast out there. And yes, everybody seems to struggle of creating an attraction for the next episode. Well, guess what? We don't have to do that. We can talk about the health development for the next 150 years.
Absolutely.
And still not exhaust the subject, because the subject is immense. The pressure is immense. Bobby Kennedy is saying now we do need to change it dramatically. So if you are pro-MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, or you are not, my question is, if you are not, what's the alternative? To make America sick again or sicker? We are already very, very deep in chronic disease. So there is only one alternative: make America healthy again. Now, I'm going from the American point of view. Marko is going from the European point of view. Of course, the European hosts will be much happier to get health tourists from America than to have mass invasions from, you name it, South Korea, China, India, from wherever you want to bring them in, coming into, as they used to, into tens of thousands and plundering all those regions. I think that, Marko, I mean, if you agree with me, I think that the choice is very simple.
Absolutely. Well, I would say, of course, because we decided to target with this and start with this program in America, because also, let's say, and let's be clear about the volume of veterans which are there and which need this assistance. And again, I think that this is from the point of culture, from the point of understanding each other, the most normal way to do it. The Asian market is absolutely, I would say, also challenged, and it's challenging the hosts from the point of culture, because this is the different culture, different attitudes, and in this case, I think that this is the most natural that American market would be addressed first. At the end of the day, this was also in past some traditional markets which were the closest ones. And I think that from the point of logistic, travel arrangements and all professional arrangements which we will have in our case, the most natural choice.
Yeah, and I do have I can talk out of my personal experience, because I'm seeing daily patients who are also veterans. A good portion of them are veterans, and naturally I'm talking to them about the VRP, the Veteran Rehabilitation Program. They are all very enthusiastic about the program, and a majority of them, particularly the elderly ones, they all came to Frankfurt airport. In other words, when they hear about the VRP starting in Europe, in Germany, not far away from Frankfurt, they are all very enthusiastic of going there, going back in there, and not majority, 100% of them would like to do something for their health. So in other words, I don't want to go into details into health part, because this is now, as I said, the marketing part of the podcast, but treating their health as priority number one in their future vacation type planning, it's a novelty, and it's extremely enticing to them. They can go with their wives, they can go with their husbands, kids. I mean, the programs, the health programs will be for everybody. So now you just touched the point about the magnitude. Now, when we're starting talking about, well, mass tourism versus very selective small group of people in the health tourism. Okay, you will say, well, we have over 20 million veterans in America. That's true. But the point is that the groups we are talking about, the groups going on the health retreat, on the health programs and so on, are very small groups. 10, 15, maximum 20 people going at the same time. We will be talking in the next episode about another very important aspect or advantage of members of the Team VRP, which, and I just want to anticipate it very briefly right now for the audience. One of the big benefits would be if somebody in the team wants to become a group organizer, wants to put together in his veteran community where he is home, to put a group to travel to those centers and want to be personally also involved into that. Well, there are big advantages of you being a group coordinator. Also, another advantage of being a member of the team would be that those kind of groups will theoretically, and for all facts of life, practically will return to the cure or to the treatment yearly, if not twice a year, because that's the nature of the biomedical programs. And of course, the possibly 80% of the initial group will be also in the group number 2, group number 3, and so on, because some people will continue with the program.
Absolutely.
That's the nature of the repeatedness or repetitiveness of the biomedical program.
It is basically, I would say, a new lifestyle, a new trend. Also, wellness travel is evolving, let's say, shifting from maybe more passive relaxation in past to dynamic and also, I would say, even active focused experiences. Basically, in this post-pandemic period, we are all looking for some kind of outdoor sport-based activities. I'm not talking about high performance sport, but relaxed, active engagement where you somehow practice and you still, let's say, are able to talk normally. So we are not talking about the huge pressure, but still this wellness activities, which could be either trekking, either maybe cycling through the local villages, excursions on some interesting heritage, natural heritage, cultural heritage point, are basically these where people are participating, meeting local people, experiencing local culture, gastronomy, some nice drinks, etc. So basically, this is in a way the new trend and the new style in wellness.
I'm just going to go and ask you something, because I know that you're a cyclist, and so am I. Does electrical biking qualify as cycling?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because imagine destinations we are talking are not just flat.
Right.
So basically, you will find my destination is absolutely a challenge. And I believe that people who are maybe more senior and cannot do everything on their own power could enjoy this. And this is absolutely qualifying. And I can tell you from my experiences, this is a growing market here also in Europe and in Slovenia. We are not ashamed to use this modern technology also in such circumstances.
So in other words, half of the peloton participants are pedaling and half are sitting comfortable on electrical bike.
I think that everybody should pedal, because if you're not pedal, also electric bike doesn't bring you forward. But this is about enjoyment.
Yeah.
This should not be something that you will in a way suffer or hate. No, you should enjoy, and this is the point of everything. But by enjoying, also exercising and doing good things for your physical, mental, and spiritual health, let's say.
Well, actually, from the beginning of all times, even from the Roman and Greek times, going on a cure, which we can call it also a wellness retreat, was always a social event.
Absolutely. Sorry to cut you. Let's just look the picture behind you.
Yeah.
Which could really beautifully describe what we are talking about.
Right. Something, a social event.
Social, absolutely. And this is, I believe, this should be understood as a priority.
Yes.
You are talking with your doctors or whoever will be in charge. You're talking with your colleagues. We are talking with your friends who are maybe going with you. You are talking with your family. You are taking more time for this part of the activities because in your everyday life, maybe you are not able to do so. So I believe this is also part of the treatment in a way.
Yes, it is part of the treatment, because we have to go back and say, okay, a wellness vacation is not going to a sterile hospital environment. It's going to the nature. It's going into those specially equipped and developed resorts. You are going into a traditional part of medicine, which was extremely attractive in the 19th century, in the 20th century, between World War I and World War II. It was a huge social event, right? And there are so many examples which we'll be talking about in the future. But let's try to close today's episode so we don't have them too long. By the way, guys listening to us, Marko and I, we are talking about those things since almost 10 years, right? Pretty much every Sunday we are debating, even way before the pandemic. The pandemic just surprised us, and we realized, wow, what we were talking about, the health tourism in the past, it was an anticipation of the coming pandemic. It was just
and we can say that it opens another dimension of these treatments.
Absolutely.
Because maybe before the pandemic, we were not aware about the importance of these things.
Yes.
I would say even now in post-pandemic period, we are more aware and more certain that this should really be a way to help people who want to help themselves.
And again, not to go into politics, okay, guys? I mean, who is not... who didn't vote for President Trump in there don't feel like we are talking against you or something, not a bit. But I have to go back on Bobby Kennedy, where he's saying the best possible vaccine is your normally functioning immune system. And that is all what's about balneology, enabling your immune system to be back in command. In other words, regenerating itself. The regeneration comes from within, not from outside.
Absolutely.
And to quote our friend and our colleague, Professor Resch, who is #1, I would say, in Europe in the matter of balneology, and my respect to him, it's incredible, because I understand what he was always doing. My mother was also a balneologist, a physician who promoted balneology when I was a kid anyway. But those people did a lot to push balneology, to modernize balneology, and Professor Resch is the one. So what he is saying is that you in the way of you being dependent of pharmaceutics, of the medicine which you have to take every day, you are actually, the dependency is in reality not enabling your immune system for self-regeneration, not enabling your immune system to take command. So balneology is putting you back in command. That's what he would say. Balneology is putting your immune system back in command.
Absolutely.
In other words, you are getting better from within. So the natural influence is that, as you said before, Marko, the social event aspect of the core, the being in a very pleasant environment, relaxing, distressing, detoxifying, everything like that, exercising and so forth, all together with a specialized medical activities and programs, are making you regenerate from within. And that is the best medicine for against future pandemics, your immune system. So I think we did plow quite deep through a couple of. I'm gonna go just at the end, and I give you the last word.
No, go on.
The most important points which we debated today, and there are many. Okay, guys, there are many points in here, but we just want to keep it in mind shortly, briefly. What's the most important message? We need the VRP, the Veteran Rehabilitation Program, to have the best possible representation in America. And the way to achieve it is to have an ideal VRP team, okay? A group of people who are promoting our podcast episodes, bringing them out there. One of the big advantages for the team members is that they will promote through our episodes their own podcasts. So their own podcast will receive another push forward, another big number of interested people to listen to their podcasts, where they are, Nebraska, Florida, Illinois, in California, where they are. They will have a new pool of material to present in their podcasts. And the next idea which we talked about was that the future most important part in all our lives will be how to stay healthy. So the health department in our life, nutrition, health, distressing, detoxification, will be the major preoccupation of our society.
Absolutely.
So those were the major points, the core messages we try to promote. And guys, contact us, come aboard. We will do all the instructions for the group and information what you need. And you have our podcasts pretty much, for free. So you just copy them with our permission and you retransmit them in your own podcast. Marko, give me a couple of final words of wisdom.
I think all was said more or less. I would just say once again, nobody can do so much for yourself as yourself. So no doctor could help you if you don't want to help you. And this is really the opportunity that you join the team. So let's make it together as an option to as much as possible of those who really wants to treat themselves good for the betterment of their everyday lives. And it is a little bit of the change in the lifestyle, a little bit of change of the attitudes, maybe a little bit change in a diet, a little bit change in the exercise. So small things can make big steps forward. Once again, welcome to join us.
Thank you everybody for listening. You can, one little more information here, you can see us on the YouTube, and you can listen to us on the podcast. So audio and video and so on. And thank you for participating. We'll meet again next week. And to close with proper words in because this is a veteran-oriented podcasting, I would say to everybody out there, thank you so much for your sacrifice, for your service to the country. And please don't forget, for us here, it's America now and forever, #1. So thank you so much again for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.